Okay, we are live again here with Tamara Tyrbouslu. Tamara, I have to be one of the only people in the world that can say your name correctly,
You
right?
pronounced it correctly. It was right on. I love it. Yes.
I can tell you that just trying to read it, I've seen some people not do so well at that. So,
Yes.
all right. Well, thanks for being here with me today. This is part of a month-long experiment that I am running to go live every single weekday in August. And sometimes that's easier than other times, but so far I think so good. And I got a lot of really good guests lined up for the rest of the month as well. Tomorrow I'm going to be back on with Lacey. She's the one that sort of convinced me to do this. I'm not sure how I got
I love
convinced to do
it.
it, but we'll be talking about how to take renters and turn them into buyers. So I personally believe that everybody should be a homeowner. There's some people out there that believe that renting is better than owning. And I've tried to see that side of it and I just can't see it. In fact, my daughter and her husband, he just finished his college. And so we helped them get into a place right away because I want them building equity in their real estate. And so I definitely put my money where my mouth is there because my own daughter, I'm making that recommendation to her. And so tomorrow we'll be talking all about helping clients go from being renters to being buyers. So hopefully you will join us then. So today, Tamara, so happy to have you with me. Let me just tell everybody who's watching a little bit about you, as far as I am aware. So Tamara is a global business leader. She is the founder of LVR and NVR, Nevada Realtors Association, right?
Yes.
Award-winning Global Business Committee. You are a former broker, certified international property specialist. I happen to know that you are an amazing CE instructor. That's pre-licensing, post-licensing, and continuing education. You do all of those. Don't ask me how you're doing that. I can't figure that out. I know that you are an amazing mentor and coach to realtors. And you are the creator of something that we are going to talk about later in this conversation, the business attraction strategy for success. And I don't know if I'm supposed to call that base or BAS. How do you refer to it?
I call it base. Yeah.
Base. I kind of thought, because, like base foundation, that made sense. But
Yes.
because
Yeah.
I love bass fishing so much,
Yes. They're delicious.
I just can't I just can't get away from calling it bass. So we'll just use them interchangeably today if that's okay. But
That's
this is a
fine.
really cool thing. I think people will be really interested to hear about that and how you do that and how you help other agents do that. And a couple more things I want to mention about you, Tamara, is that there are a lot of people out there that talk about having the right mindset. And I don't really know how to even say this. I don't know how to articulate how you would describe this, but this whole concept of law of attraction, attracting wealth and success to you. There's a lot of people out there talking about it, but you are the person that I know the most who is all in on that and is very successful because of that. And I know you do training and I don't know, workshops and stuff around that. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that today as well, but just you definitely
I live
truly
it.
live it.
I
And
live it for sure.
I love watching it. And then lastly, you serve on our Synergy Community Board of Directors. I have been mentioning some things about the Synergy Community on these live streams, and we'll talk a little bit about the Synergy Community today, I'm sure. But you're on our Board of Directors and have been for several years, and really appreciate how you contribute to that.
Thank you.
All right. Did I miss anything? Anything else that we need to mention about you?
If it's pertinent, it'll come up. And my delight being here. Thank you for having me. And a big shout out to Lacey, too, for convincing you to do this. This is wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start off by talking about, I would like to hear from your perspective what you think some of the biggest misperceptions are for new agents. And I think you're particularly qualified to answer this because of all the pre-licensing you teach. I'm sure you see kind of like that new agent full of hope, the stars in the eyes, all that kind of thing. But I'm sure you've heard some misperceptions. What do you think are some of the biggest ones that agents have in their minds when they join this business?
The biggest misperception I see has to do with time, that the time investment to get the results. They really think like they get their license, they find a broker, then they're going to sell a house the next day. And that is just not the case. And most people don't have the financial means to get them through that 6 month to even a year. And usually in most businesses take 2 to 3 years to get off the ground. And so they get really discouraged early on and then end up, quitting and leaving the business when really they just needed to um, dial in more and just anchor into their business attraction strategies that we're going to talk about later, and be faithful in it. It's just like gardening, or like being a farmer, and the harvest doesn't come the next day, or it's like having a baby, like
Yeah.
there's 9 months, for the baby, and people just think it's going to happen so fast and they're going to make a lot of money really fast, and that's not the case.
I love the farming analogy. I mean, MBA farmer is how I've branded myself because of all the little farming that I try to do. And I do that thank goodness I'm not trying to make a living doing farming.
I grew up on a farm, so I know my dad worked full time on the farm and had a full time job
I
too.
saw a farmer who had won some large amount of money in a lottery, and they said, "What are you going to do with all your money?" And he said, "Well, I'll probably just keep farming till it's all gone."
Yes, yeah, exactly.
But anyway, yeah, I love real estate because it's kind of like the consummate entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
You have to think about this as entrepreneurship for sure.
Yes.
And if you are going to say to your friends and family, "Hey, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to be an entrepreneur," you would never expect that you're going to just be insanely profitable instantly, super
Immediately. No.
profitable. Yeah.
And
So
you
I
spend
love,
money first, right? You got to invest money first.
yeah.
And that's the other big thing. And a lot of it it comes down to the mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I know we have a little plan we put people on where the goal is that they have an escrow in the first 90 days. But I think what you mentioned is actually pretty realistic, that you need to be, that's what we hope for, but you need to be prepared for 6 months, maybe even longer, that before you're going to see any sort of paycheck with any kind of regularity. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And I give that reality check in pre-licensing to let people know, hey, you really need 6 months worth of income or savings, or a sugar mama or a sugar daddy. And I'm half joking, and you need somebody who's going to sponsor you through that. The learning curve is really wide, and they do need an income in that time.
yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Any others that come to mind on misperceptions that new agents have?
Yeah. So the other one is what you just touched on, is that having that entrepreneurial mindset, because a lot of people are coming into this from having a job. And so where they just kind of, there's a time clock, they clock in and clock out, and that's not really how real estate works. And that somebody's going to be telling you what to do. No one's really going to be telling you what to do. You've got to be self-motivated, or put yourself in an environment where you're surrounded by other people who are successful, and you're modeling what they're doing and learning from what they're doing. And typically that doesn't happen in the real estate industry. It does in our community, but in the real estate community is quite cutthroat. And so
Yeah.
you're not going to be learning from your peers unless you do connect with somebody who's in a revenue share type of business model like we are with EXP, where people are collaborating and helping and co-empowering each other. And so that's the other thing, is just shifting from a job and punching the clock to, no, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm the rainmaker here. I'm the one that's going to figure this out, and consistently and constantly attracting business.
Yeah. I am a consumer of the All In podcast. And
Okay, yes.
one of the guys on there, Shamath Palihapitiya, is a super experienced businessman, billionaire, run and started lots of businesses. And I loved how he described it. He said that in the corporate world, it's usually if X, then Y.
Yes.
But in the entrepreneurial world, it's if X, then you don't know, right? And you kind of have to walk into that darkness and then see, oh, there is a flashlight ahead of me. Uh,
Yeah.
so that,
Or
yeah.
future engineer it, right? Like project out in the future, what do I want this to look like?
Hmm.
And then reverse engineer it. And these are the activities I can do today in
Yeah.
order to get there,
You
you
can,
know, and that's truly what the business attraction strategy session is for, that, you know, I go through with my new licensees and even seasoned licensees, you know, that maybe they just want to up level their business or they're feeling lost. Or sometimes people will go through seasons, guys, there's seasons to everything, right? They went through a very successful season with their real estate, and then it gets kind of dull and boring, and then they're not excited or enthusiastic, or they've had a couple losses and then they're kind of burnt out. And then we got to initiate a spring again, because I'd call that a winter, you know. And so we got to initiate a spring again, and using the business attraction strategy is super helpful, because it what it does is it weaves the passion that we have naturally, our own, and everybody has their own unique passion, and weaves that into the business, the profession for prosperity. And
yeah.
so it reignites a spring season.
Yeah. So let's come back to the bass base thing here in a second,
I
because
like the bass because, you know, it is like fishing. You're going fishing for business.
yeah, I mean,
And the bait you're using is your passion.
anytime I can equate it to that, you know,
Yeah.
that's better for me. Yeah, okay. Very good. Any other misperceptions that come to mind that you have thought of? I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
Lots of agents, I think, and I can tell you that I actually felt this too when I was first an agent. I felt like I needed to spend a huge majority of my time learning the business. And, you know, it's this, everybody knows that you're going to need to do prospecting, but a lot of new agents minimize the value of prospecting. And so what I tell people is, I actually think you should spend 75% of your time prospecting and 25% of your time doing the actual learning part of it. And
Hmm.
on my live stream where I was just solo doing Q&A, I was answering some questions. I addressed this a little bit. But for sure, I have said, I think that you should at least 75% of your time be prospecting. And the learning part of it comes from actually doing the transaction.
Absolutely. You learn hands-on, and I do think that that is a big misconception too. And I see people who are perfectionists. I know that I started as a perfectionist. I'm recovered now. But I spent a lot of time learning the business too, because I didn't want to make a mistake. And in hindsight, I realized that that was my error. I saw other people who were not as smart as I was, or as kind and caring as I was, getting success immediately because they weren't afraid about to make a mistake, you know, and they just kind of put the cart before the horse and went out and did it. And really, in order to succeed quicker, absolutely, you got to do that, because you can only learn by doing transactions. That's where the true learning comes from. And so, and I like how you're saying the time. You like the 75 to 80% on the lead generation or business
Yeah.
attraction. I'm more on focused on energy, and so I will go through, well, where is your energy the highest? Because that's when we're most connect. We have this most connectivity with other people, and so for me, it's between 11 and 1 during the day,
Mm.
and that's my best time to do prospecting or business attraction. You know, and I also get another hit in the evening, and I actually teach at night at 6 o'clock in the evening, and I do get another burst of energy right around then in the evening, and then I'm like done. And so in those times when our energy is the highest, that's the time we should really be connecting with other people. And so it's not necessarily the time as it is like the energy and focus. Like at that time, it's hyper focus. Make sure you connect with people through whatever your strategy is. And then the rest of the time is follow up and follow through, and then learning the business, going out and actually seeing product and learning about it so you can speak intelligently. Having a good mentor is really important, because once you do bring in a piece of business, you really do need somebody to go to. And that's why I'm passionate about new agents, because I remember being new and having a client and having to write an offer on the weekend, and I had no one to talk to about it. And I had to, you know, copy my template that I had learned about in class, you know. And my mentoring is hybrid, where I'm literally out in the field with my agents, and we're doing practicals as well as, you know, doing some stuff in the classroom too.
I love what you were saying about the energy thing. And I told everybody at the beginning, you approach this thing differently. You know how to attract the business to you. If you put that right energy around the efforts that you're making, then all of those efforts will not only be more sincere, they're going to be more impactful. I do a training with new agents that I call your statement of ultimate confidence. So what I
Mm,
do is I walk through, and this is a little different than it probably sounds, but I walk through with them what is something that they are ultimately confident in about themselves. And then we figure out a way to create a statement that they always work into every conversation that they have with anybody about real estate.
oh, I love
And
that.
and when I've watched people do this, I've watched where I've watched them do it, and I've seen where when they get to that part, the energy around it is perfect because they've figured out what are they the most confident in, and then they can talk about even stuff that they don't know fully about. And so
Yeah. Oh,
I love
absolutely.
that.
It's like an elixir. I love that.
Yeah,
That
and
is
I've watched
awesome.
agents do it, like they practice and practice and practice, and then I watch them in
Mhm.
front of a client and they do okay, right? But when they get to this statement of ultimate confidence,
Yeah.
the lights come on and
It
they're
harnesses that energy, and everything's energy. It really is.
yeah, I love that. Next on my list, we kind of covered this a little bit, so maybe we don't have any more to talk about here, but largest challenges to new agents.
Oh, it's managing themselves, and I call it the the shiny object syndrome. Oh my goodness. So even though I spend all this time going through the business attraction strategy with new agents, they will still get swayed by other people. Oh, I've got to door knock. I've got to do open houses. I've got to do cold calling and, expireds and FISBOs and blah, I got to go take this class on divorces and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, was that in your business attraction strategy? No, it's not. Focus on this. You have to continue to focus on this so long that you can then you get some momentum going, and then you can also then learn the nuances, like, oh, if I do this little thing, then that happens. If I do that,
Yeah,
then that happens.
yeah,
You don't really get to that level of mastery if you keep chasing other ways to attract business. Having like one major way you attract business and maybe two side streams, like if you're a golf, like really into golf, for example, like you love to play golf, and the question I ask people is like, well, what would you do for free? Like if you had $100,000 coming into your bank account every single month consistently, what would you do for free? That's typically what the business attraction strategy is going to be. And then, yeah, they could do maybe some open houses and maybe some, one other thing. But I focus on, well, your main thing is what you're passionate about. And then we look for the people that will jive with you online and offline. Too many new agents will just chase, oh, so and so said that they get Zillow leads, and they're like, oh, I got to buy Zillow leads. I'm like, no, you don't. It's like flushing money. I mean, there's some big teams that do really well with Zillow leads and blah, blah, blah. But I don't think that that's the best way to attract business. I think the best way to attract business for the long term is for you to align your business with your passion and do that so well that people chase you.
I've seen new agents, they'll hear about an agent who has a new listing and they'll say, well, how'd you get the listing? And it's some like really weird way, right? And
Right.
I always tell them, with 15,000 agents in your market, somebody's bound to get a transaction by doing, I flew to the moon. And that's how I
Right.
got my agent, right? Uh,
Yes.
so, but but the focus, like you were saying, the focusing on the plan that you've put together, this is the thing that we'll talk about on the bass base system, is that just having a plan is something that so few people operate off of. And
Right.
even experienced agents, I can tell you, the ones that are successful, they have decided what they're going to work on, they have a plan for it, and they're focusing on doing that for
Yeah,
sure.
and they literally put it in their schedule, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And it's important. I don't care if you use old school schedule or new school schedule, electronic. You've got to actually plan those activities out that you're going to do and be committed to them.
yeah. One of the other big challenges I think that not just new agents, but all agents are facing right now is how much the world is changing technologically on us right now. And on Friday, I'm having a guest on who works for a crypto company. He's the CEO of a crypto company.
Excellent.
And we're going to talk about blockchain technology and how it works in the crypto world, because I am almost convinced that almost anything that is a transaction,
Oh, absolutely.
real estate certainly is a transaction,
Yeah.
is going to use some type of blockchain technology. So I encourage everybody to tune in on Friday to see that one.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really going to disrupt the title industry, I believe, and title companies that are out ahead of this curve are going to do really well. And others, if they don't adjust, just like, traditional real estate brokerages, if they don't adjust to the new business models, they're not going to be here much longer.
So let's switch gears and talk a little bit about CE. And let me just tee this up by saying that I also teach a lot of continuing education.
Yes.
I'm going to put a little banner up here that this unmundanece.eventbrite.com is how you get to my page. And this is what that looks like. And this right here shows all the different classes that we teach. And I think they're scheduled out through the end of the year. And so I encourage everybody to go out there and sign up for CE that way. And then also please check out what CE that Tamara has on the schedule, because when I need CE, that's where I go. And it doesn't matter. You can
and vice versa.
You can teach 100 hours of CE a year and you still have to take almost all the same requirement. So
absolutely. Well, we get to take 30 and everybody else takes 36 because we can use 6 hours of our own classes, but that's about it.
Yeah. So anyway, so you teach CE. There's a couple of things I've noticed that I'd like to kind of myth bust a little bit with you here about the role of CE for a realtor. From your perspective, Tamara, what is the role of that? And what about things beyond CE, and how do those things all sort of fit together in a good strategy for agents?
Yeah. So it's nice if you can double up CE with, like, say, a certification or something like that. That's awesome. It's not always the case. Continuing education is literally the state of Nevada just wants to make sure you're aware of updated, statutes and administrative code. And that's why when agents take CE, they're kind of like, well, it's the same old CE over and over again. I try to put my own spin on CE to make it exciting. I know your classes, I have a unique spin too. So I usually put more of a global, cultural spin on my classes. Yeah. So that they can learn something new that they'd never thought about. And because we do live in a really multicultural environment, it's helpful to learn about how to serve people from other cultures and other countries.
Yeah.
But literally the real estate division is like, you're going to cover this material, these statutes, these administrative codes, make sure that agents aren't going to harm the general public. Basically, that's what CE is for. And then once you want to maybe niche into something, or you want to get some additional training on something unique, then there's certification courses for that, like my CIPS, the Certified International Property Specialist designation I teach. Sometimes schools that hire me to teach that, they're not offering CE for it. It's just the certification, and you're getting it because you want to learn about how to do international business. And there's others, short sales and luxury, and there's all sorts of different other designations that really people should be agents. Like negotiation's a big one. I'm actually, I teach negotiation. I'm taking an additional class this week to teach even more of it, because I think that's one of the most undeveloped skills realtors have. Yeah. And so that's a certification course. That's not a CE course. So
a lot of people don't even realize that if you try to teach a negotiation class as CE, I mean, you can, but it's definitely general, and it's hard to get those kinds of classes passed through the division because they're looking for you to handle more of those other subjects that you were just mentioning earlier.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I forgot to mention that the reason I call my CE unmundane is because we didn't want to use the word fun.
Right. Just in case the division checks out your website. God forbid we have fun in real estate.
Yeah.
classes.
I mean, I always say to people, I take a lot of CE because I'm a realtor, and I know that fun and CE don't necessarily always go
Not
together.
usually.
Yeah.
I try to make it as exciting as possible. And, people say, oh, this is the best CE class I've ever taken. I'm teaching some interesting and different subjects like feng shui. And it makes the time go by faster. And I've been in your classes too, and they're interactive and
Yeah.
stimulating, and yeah, definitely not mundane.
Our goal is to be unmundane at least, right? And
Well,
I
you're
will say
achieving it.
we do sometimes actually tap into fun just a little bit. I know that your
Yeah.
classes do as well. So, okay. So this is the part we've been waiting for. It's time for us to talk about the famous BAS or BASE system, business attraction strategy for success. Tamara, I'm telling you, I have always been so impressed with the success I watch agents have when you're mentoring them. And so I knew there was some magic behind it. And can you tell us, how did you develop this? What is it really? And why do you think it's so successful for agents?
Okay, so I am going to make one disclaimer before I go into it, and I appreciate that you say, that I have an influence or an effect on agents' success, and I let my agents know I am not responsible for your success, one way or the other. I'm
Probably
not
why
going to
it's
take
successful.
Yeah, I'm not going to take credit for it if you're super successful, and I'm also not going to take any blame if you're not, because I know the only person who's responsible for them achieving is themselves. And people do refer to me as their muse or their mojo or whatever. And even agents that don't work with me but are like, hey, can we go out to lunch? Because I know I make more money after. Like, there's this effect, like it's like an afterglow of us hanging out together. I make more money,
Yeah.
and which I love, and that's, I'm here to illuminate and shine bright light wherever I go, even into the darkness. And I know that the darkness serves the light, and in real estate, it's like the challenges, the hardships that happen. Those are those opportunities that we have to dig deeper into ourselves and to really cultivate our skills. And when it happens with other people, it's bonding. Like, we literally bond with other people when we go through challenges together. And so that's a huge aspect of real estate. So I did want to just make the disclaimer up front that I am personally not
Well, that's
responsible for
fine. You
people's
don't have to
success.
take credit for it, but I will give you credit for it because
Okay,
you
thank
are the
you.
founder of this concept. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, and this developed over time, and definitely from my own experience. I floundered the first couple of years in real estate because I'd never run, well, not necessarily never run my own business, because I did. I actually, grew up, babysitting, and so I was an entrepreneur from the beginning, and I had my own restaurant at 18, and so I have run my own business, and it was just learning real estate and getting through that first couple of years of just figuring it out, and especially being in a franchise, in a traditional franchise model that just did not work for me at all. And I noticed that the brokers just gave all of their attention to the prima donna agents, and the new agents, they were just kind of like, yeah, if they stick and stay, then we'll give them some attention, but not in the beginning. They didn't really invest in us, and so it was really frustrating. So on my own, I hired a business coach through Brian Buffini's company, which was huge. And when I was, they just helped me so much with my mindset and my approach, and learning what my natural skills and abilities were that made me unique, and then designing my business around that. And over time, I realized, I'm like, oh, wow, if I have a really strong why, and you've got to start there, like, you have a really strong why, that will get you through the challenges. And you've got to always go back to, like, why am I even, why am I in real estate? And a bigger question, like, why am I here? Why am I on the planet? Like, why do I even exist? That is important to get really clear on that. And our whys might change over time. You might be a parent and having to put food on the table, and you're really passionate about making sure your kids eat, and that drives you. And then when that's no longer there, well, what's driving you? So having a why top of mind is super important, and that's part of the strategy. And then also, what are my passions? What am I passionate about? What would I do? Like I said, what would I do if I didn't have to make money. And really, we don't have to make money. That is one myth that really should be busted, or a false belief, is that we have to make money. The birds eat, plants eat, everybody else on the planet is eating without having to make money. It's just that we're playing in this playground, and we're all choosing to participate in this illusion that we need money, and we don't necessarily need it. So that's a whole nother course.
We just want to make money. We don't
just
need
desire it. Yeah. And to have the desire is even better than want, right? Because want is to desire without having, right? And then desire is to be of the stars. And that's why I go really deep with this. And some agents have, and people in general, because I do use this strategy with entrepreneurs in general, not just real estate agents, and it works for every business pretty much. So is that some folks have a hard time getting out of their head and really getting into their heart and what their heart of hearts desire is. And so for some people, I'm going to take them through a guided meditation where I get them to a hypnotic space or state where they are envisioning, okay, I have $100,000 coming into my bank account every single month. Okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with my day? And literally have them talk through their day, what they do when they wake up, what they're doing through the morning.
Visualizing what that will look like at the time.
Yeah, what does it look like? And then what are they going to do the next day? And then the next day. And the next day, because the first day they're like, yeah, I'm on the beach, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, that gets boring after a while. And I love beaches. I am a tropical person. And my favorite thing is working on the beach in my bikini. It gets, like after a while, you're going to want to
something meaty,
other people, and do something else. And so once I can identify what that is, what they would do if they didn't have to work for money, because they really don't have to, then that's what we wrap the business attraction around. And so for me, I love to teach and to synergize with people. I know that I've done it for free. So I have done it for free. Now not only do I get paid, but I also attract agents and real estate deals from it. And so what would you do for free? And then who is your ideal client? Like, who do you really want to work with? Because I don't want to work with everybody. Not everybody is, in my tribe, essentially. And that's okay, because there's somebody else who they would be best served by. And that's fine. So we're only really looking to attract who we want to do business with and who wants to do business with us. And so that's the ideal client. We get really deep into defining who this person is in their essence, nothing to do with, demographics, but at the essence. Like some people will say, oh, I want to work.
They think, the way their MO.
Yeah. So some agents will say, oh, well, I want to work with first-time home buyers. Well, what is it about first-time home buyers? Well, it's the excitement of getting into a property. Okay, well, that's what it is. It's the excitement. Because I've worked with people who are there on their third house and they're super excited, So it's really the essence of them and not necessarily the descriptive of, their age or height or whatever, And then, so once we know who that ideal client is, we have the passion, originally the why, right? And then their passion, then their ideal client, and a very clear avatar of that person. Then where would that person be out in the world? Where are they offline and where are they online? And so if I'm looking for somebody who's a little more sophisticated, they're, financially responsible, they have traveled the globe, well, I'm probably going to be looking for them on LinkedIn, right? And so I wouldn't be doing TikTok. It's important for you to identify exactly where they are online and go all in.
I heard about somebody who got a transaction by being on TikTok, right? So what we were talking about earlier is like, there's always a way in lots of ways, but I love that you're saying to focus on where those people are going to reside, basically, right?
Yeah,
like live their
Where do they
lives?
live online? Like, because we're spending a lot of time online. Everybody
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
care who you are. So are they on, they could be, the avatar could be somebody who's on TikTok, and that's fine. It just, it's not my avatar, and that's fine too. So everybody's going to have their own, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or Reddit or X or whatever, there's going to be some place online that person is giving their attention, and then you want to get a YouTube
yeah,
is excellent, so
yeah.
um yeah, so identifying where is that person online, and then where are they offline. So if somebody say their passion is cooking, they love to cook, well, they can still be in real estate, and their person online is probably in all recipes and participating in all recipes. So you be active with all recipes in there. And then offline, well, maybe go to a cooking class, maybe even host a cooking class, maybe show off kitchens, like really focus on different indoor, outdoor kitchens, connect with stores like Sonoma, Williams Sonoma. They have cooking classes there. They do workshops and everything, maybe hosting an event there. So literally taking what you're super passionate about and weaving it into real estate and making sure you're capturing attention online and offline.
I love how you've set that up. And the first thing you said at first I thought was different than the second thing you've been talking about, but I now realize that they're almost the same concept. And that is that you want to become addicted to succeeding. And the money will come when you have success, right?
Absolutely.
But the succeeding is however you define that, right? Like, who are you going to be talking to? Why are you going to be talking to them? How are you going to be helping them? And as those things start to occur in your life, then you're going to categorize that in your mind as that you succeeded. And when you're succeeding in those kinds of things, the way that our world is set up, especially in our capitalistic society, is that the byproduct of that will be that you will earn money.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's creating conversations, connections, and they lead to transactions, conversion, commission, all
Yeah.
those C's. Yeah.
So I'm a little new to this live streaming thing, and so I was not noticing that there were some people who were commenting live on
Okay.
on some of the things. So let me switch gears for a quick second to I want to interact a little bit with our live viewers, because these are the people that love us the most, and so we love
Yes.
them back the
Yay.
most, right? So this is from living in Las Vegas. I think that's James, right?
Yes. James Vogel. I love it.
So good morning from Silverado Ranch, Las Vegas, Nevada. Top of the morning to you all. Thank you so much, Jim, for joining us. We also have Ursula saying happy Monday. Yes, it is a happy Monday. Thank you for being there. Hashtag Wonder Woman. I know that they're referring to you there on that one. So
I received that.
and then from Lacey, our very own Las Vegas gal. Love this duo. So
Are we
thank you
going to
guys.
make it a trio, Lacey?
Yeah. We need to do some lives with lots of people in the room. I think that would be fun, almost like a town hall style kind of.
Oh yeah, good conversation for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so throughout this, we've talked a little bit about how you and I both are part of the Synergy community, which is something that we have built together on top of the EXP Realty platform. And we're going to talk a little bit about that here in just a second, about why we both found that to be so compelling. What I have found is that the most successful agents are the ones who are attracted to this kind of a model, because they've sort of been through the gamut of other options, and they, when they see this, they realize it. And I remember the first time I met you, Tamara, you were listening to me and Joe kind of explain what we're going to explain here in a minute, and I saw the light
lights.
bulb in your eyes where you were like, this is what I've been looking for. And what's so funny is that you thought you were there for some other reason, because somebody else had sort of tried to trick you or bait and switch you,
I was
right?
bamboozled into it. Yeah, I had no idea.
But I thank the Lord every night that happened, because working together with you has been a huge blessing. So,
Oh, ditto. Yeah, me too.
Okay, so our Synergy community, we spearhead in Las Vegas every year a massive service project. It's called the Day of Service, the iHeart EXP Day of Service. It's a company-wide, worldwide effort, but we kind of run point on it in Nevada. And this year we are doing like we have done in times past, where we are benefiting a veteran. And these are usually renovations of a veteran's home that total value is $50,000 to $60,000. And this year is going to be no different. And this year is kind of special because the recipient, Bob, he actually has a nonprofit for veterans that supports veterans. And he brings people into his home as a meeting place and as a support network for other veterans, disabled veterans. And so when we saw his home and we saw what he was doing, we said, okay, this is great, but we can make this be a whole lot better. So this year, when we bless Bob, we bless all of them as well. And let me just add this really quickly. So in the description of this video, there are a couple of links. One link is to this page where you can sign up. If you are realtor or non-realtor alike, please sign up to come help us on that day of service. And irrespective of if you can be there that day, we also have a donation link that you can go to. That's in the description of this video. Please do consider donating a little bit of your money, if you could, to this cause. We are trying to raise $25,000 worth for the materials that we need to do this. A lot of it we get donated from contractors and stuff, but we just can't get all 50 or 60,000 that way. And we're up to 6,000 or 7,000 of donations so far out of the 25,000 that we're looking for. So anybody who would be willing to do that, we would very much appreciate if you'd be willing to contribute to us that way. Okay, we also got a comment from Beatrice.
Ah, Beatrice, excellent.
So thank you for joining us on that one. Okay, Tamara.
Yes.
When I saw that light come in your eyes about this idea of synergy, I know you love that word, so that didn't hurt us at all with the fact that we called it the synergy community. But tell us what it was about it from your perspective as an experienced agent that made you see, okay, this is something totally different that could give me what I've been looking for.
Yeah, so it was an answered prayer. I want to tell a little bit of the backstory of leading up to that moment. Is because I had for years, I was designing my own real estate brokerage because I hadn't experienced, and I had been to quite a few brokerages and ran a boutique luxury brokerage and a couple of the larger 100% franchise, the whole thing, and just never really found my home. And I had a business coach ask me, well, what am I committed to in my business for the next 10 years? And I thought, my goodness, I'm not committed to anything. Like, I know that I'm committed to anything in my life, let alone in my business. And then, so I really had to think about it. I'm like, well, I'm committed to my spiritual practice. I'm committed to my body. I've got to have this body for the rest of my life, but in business, I'm not. So I had to ask a different question was, well, what would it take for me to be committed to real estate for the next 10 years?
Wow.
And design.
That's big. That's a big, deep question.
Yeah, it was an easier question for me to answer because then I got to be the creator of it. And so I wrote out this whole description of what my business looked like, that I was like literally in love with the people that I'm working with, and we had synergy together. And so synergy was part of the whole description.
Yeah.
And the contrast though that I also had was that my bonus daughter was paralyzed in a car accident in 2018. And then my business, so I left to take care of her, to be with her in the hospital. And it was, 6 weeks in ICU and then another 6 months in a special hospital that helps people. It helped us learn how to take care of her and everything, and her to advocate for herself with her spinal injury. And she's quadriplegic. So it's 24/7 care that she needs. Well, when you leave as a real estate agent, when you leave your business, your business is done. Like, there's nothing. Like, I had 3 escrows closed, which was great, and people helped me close those escrows, but then I was focused there and I had no income coming in. I was teaching a Manifesting Miracles course at the time, and I ended up doing it online. So I shifted it over to Zoom. So that at least helped me. And then I had to think of my real estate business differently. I'm like, I need to restructure my real estate business so
Yeah.
that no matter where I am in the world and no matter what's going on, I still have income coming in. So
Yeah.
I had this contrast. And in this Manifesting Miracles class, we had, I gave an assignment about, I talked about free lunch, because we have these expressions in our language, like there's no free lunch. Well, yeah, there is. And I gave some examples of free lunches, So their manifestation exercise for that week was to manifest a lunch. And so this was on a Monday. And one of the participants said, yeah, with a business opportunity. I'm like, yeah, sure, with a business opportunity. So we did my little manifestation exercise, and I have this process that I go through to manifest. And then everybody went off to their lives and to manifest. Well, coming out of that session, I got a text. It was a text about, I'm interested in your CIPS course, and let's meet tomorrow at this. It was a lender's office. So I'm thinking it's a lender who wants to sponsor my CIPS class, because I had put out an ask for sponsors for my Certified International Property Specialist class. So I show up at this lender's office thinking I'm having lunch with a lender, and they're going to sponsor my class. And I am, of course, because I'm usually fashionably latte, I show up and there's a room full of people listening to you and Joe. And in that moment, I'm like, well, I manifested a lunch with a business opportunity. So I don't say no to the universe. When the universe brings me something, I don't say no. Now, as a side note, I have been pitched EXP for like 5 years, and just I was like this, not interested. I am so not interested. The whole thing that other people think about EXP from the outside. Oh, it's a,
all
pyramid,
the negative,
blah, 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 all that BS. I was that person. Okay. And so I said, I just caught myself. I said, this is a gift from the universe. It's an answer to our manifestation. So I'm going to be present, 100% present. And so I was committed to be fully engaged in the presentation regardless. I realized I was getting pitched on something. I didn't know what it was, but I realized that this is a pitch and I am just going to be present and participate. And of course, the only place to really sit and to be polite was right in the front, where there was a space open. So I sat in the front, I listened, and once you see this, you can't unsee it. And I was answering questions that you and Joe were asking, and really felt the synergy and the sincerity, like the authenticity of you and Joe. It really won my heart over within that meeting itself. However, I still had some obstacles to get over. Now, of course, the gentleman who had invited me was super excited. He's like, realized like I had seen the light, He's like, yay, I got a live one here. The reality is there were people before him that I was closer to that had pitched me on EXP. And because he had done a bait and switch, I don't respect that. And so I did let him know. I said, even if I joined, I wouldn't join with you. This was, not appropriate way to invite me to even see this concept,
Yeah.
Before I even left the parking lot, my buddy Joe called me, and he knew that I had one of my clients is another real estate brokerage and competitor, and it was really hard for me to come over just because of that relationship that I had, and I knew I'd have to get to release a contract I had with her and everything. And he really helped me through it, and I had also just had recruited my brother to this other brokerage too. So it was like, I just recruited my brother over, blah, blah, blah. And he really took the time. We went out to lunch, and, he really took the time to understand what my challenges were and why I wasn't 100% yes yet, even though in my heart of hearts I was. And that really helped me through, because I was able to see those obstacles as, well, they're not obstacles. Actually, you embrace them, and this is how they're a benefit. And signed right up and really happy. It's my forever home. And the collaboration we have between each other, it's a co-empowering environment. There is really nothing like it out there. Well, of course, there's knockoffs now because we do this so well and we are on the leading edge. And the more I learn about the company and how we operate, I'm just, more convinced I just made the best decision ever.
Yeah, it's fun. I've heard you tell the story a little bit before, but I love all the detail you gave today. I learned a few things about that story. One thing you probably don't know is that when we sort of wrapped up, Joe and I had definitely noticed that you were definitely seeing this, right? And that's really who we like to focus on more than anything. It's not even so much about how much you produce yet. It's just about if you see the vision of what we're trying to accomplish. And we could see that you did. And we looked at each other and he was like, is she mine to go after or yours? Right. And I said, well, she left, so you better chase her out there. So that's why he chased you out there. That was good. But yeah, the other thing I'll just mention is that the reason we built the Synergy community is because it is something that is on top of this virtual brokerage and rev share type model. There are some knockoffs, like you said, they don't have synergy, and even groups within EXP sometimes don't have synergy. And for me, the vision of synergy is that I believe every agent deserves to have an environment of success. And it just is so frustrating to me to watch brokerages that are really good at making it seem like they give that environment, but they don't really. And so we really focus on that. And just to give a little bit more background, we have a board of directors that you and I both sit on, Tamara, with other really killer agents. Yeah. And we have an agent advisory committee that meets monthly and works together with the board of directors. And literally all of those meetings, all of the efforts are to create events, social events, training events, one-on-one coaching and mentoring. Whatever the agent needs to be successful, we want to put that agent in that position to be successful. And the thing that's the best about it is that it's working, and it has worked so well, and it works really well. So, okay, in the top corner of this video, there is a QR code, a purple QR code. If you scan that, it will take you directly to my calendar. And you can schedule a time to meet with me whenever is the most convenient for you. And I would like realtors to make that, to schedule with me. If you have any questions about your business, I'm happy to answer those questions. I do teach 100 hours a year of free CE to give back to the community and to collaborate together with other realtors. So, and also if you would be interested in hearing anything more about Synergy and the details of that Tamara and I have been sort of touching on, please do meet either with me or with Tamara. Yes. And this right here is how you reach Tamara. Here's her phone number. You can reach her. Either one would be fine. If you feel like you really vibe with her, then, even though this is my live stream, you contact her. So that would be great. We would love to, Tamara and I would love to work together with you to really explain the details of that. And you know what? Sometimes we meet with agents and we say, it's not the best fit for you, or it isn't right now, or whatever. But you're looking at two really seasoned people who understand this business through and through and can help you in, basically know how you can be successful in your career as well. So please do scan that code and either meet with me or Tamara. Tamara, we have just a few more minutes. I actually thought we could go forever and was hoping we would, but I realized that I am meeting with an agent here in a few minutes. So but I do want to finish up by just talking about, would you share with us what your reason for being on the board of directors is and how that fits into your business plan?
Well, I am a natural born leader. Like whenever I'm in a community, and particularly if I'm dedicated and believe in it, which is the only reason why I would be in that community to begin with, I want to contribute from a leadership aspect. It's just who I am. And so I was thrilled to see that, you are opening up and this was actually part of that luncheon presentation too, that you are opening up your board, and there were only guys on it at the time. So I'm like, yeah, I'm happy to give the perspective, and I can definitely contribute quite a bit from my own unique lens. And I love our board because there's no egos on it.
Yeah.
It is the first time I've actually been on a board or in a, leadership scenario where we didn't have to battle egos. Like, we get in there, we get it done, we share, and it is just such a beautiful environment to be in, and the community's blessed because of the leadership and how well we work together.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for being on it. I know you spend a lot of time contributing. Really do appreciate that. I'm just going to mention one last thing and then we'll jump off here. In the month of September, I am starting something called the Unbook Club. I'm doing that together with Shelly Johnson. She is an absolute animal in this business. She runs a massive team out of North Carolina with her partner, Craig. And she and I are doing this together. And the first month we're doing this book called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. This book is not just for agents. This is for anybody. It will totally change the way you see how you value your own time. And here's why we call it the Unbook Club. It's because I know that realtors aren't going to actually read the book. So what we said was Shelly and I will read it. We'll do all the reading. We'll do all the work. We'll do all the thinking. We'll prepare it. All you do is show up on September 17th on a Zoom call. Just listen and contribute and participate. And we will share with you the nuggets of the book and basically tell you how we have implemented these concepts into our own lives and how that could also be something that you could implement into your life. And I know that those who participate, it will be a blessing for you. So hopefully I convinced you at least tomorrow.
You definitely did. I love it. I love that idea. That's an amazing idea because we know realtors don't read, right?
Well, look, I do. If you're one of the few that wants to prove me wrong, I think you'd be very wise to read the book because it'll just make it that much better. And it is good. That book is good content. It is worth reading. There are some that you read and you're like, that one's definitely worth reading. So
I'll do that as a giveaway at our next First Friday. So you'll know there's going to be at least one person and myself who reads it.
All right, perfect. Well, Tamara, this has been wonderful. I personally have had a few ideas come up in my mind of things I want to implement into my business. Just appreciate the insight that you bring in so many different aspects of life and business to the table. It's a pleasure working with you. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, my delight. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you next time. Everybody, please join me tomorrow. And we'll be talking about taking renters to buyers. And once again, thanks, Tamara, and see everybody tomorrow.
Ciao.